Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Devshatarini Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to the discussion today. So this lesson plan is still, I think I missed updating this, but we'll start with the introduction of the last section that we are going to discuss today, text 27 onwards, which talks about the vision of one who has got Jnana Chakshu, who has got the right understanding of the knowledge about soul, super soul, and Prakruti. In what way that person perceives the world. But before that, we will just have a quick recap of what we discussed last time. So devotees can raise their hands on any point they recollect from last discussion, to help the group. Any volunteers? Hare Krishna, Ramesh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Last class we discussed about the body, the living entities, the soul and the super soul, and the super soul actually acts as a friend throughout the journey. So wherever we are, whatever, I think the first thing I forgot is about the material nature. I think that was the first thing that we discussed. And material nature is the cause of everything. So that's something we discussed. And then depending upon our desires, upon the living entity's desires, we get the sufferings. And so the next was wherein we discussed about we have got the marginal freedom, so wherein so we try to lord the material nature, so therein the all problems start, and then we are entangled in this material world, and we have the super soul who is watching all our activities and who tries to us to get out of this material entanglement, both within and outside. So yeah, I think these were the few things which I could remember.
Thank you very much, Ramesh Prabhu. Any other devotee would like to add any particular point? So maybe the headings of what all points Ramesh Prabhu just summarized, we ask, and any devotees want to add anything on that. So Prabhu mentioned about the material creation, and Srila Prabhupada in this regard uses the specific word, the mystery of material creation. So does anyone remember why it is called mystery of material creation? We had discussed this particular point last time. So the relationship between the Jiva and the Prakruti, the material nature, Prabhuji mentioned why that relationship is called mystery by Srila Prabhupada in the purport and by Krishna in the verse. Anyone recollects the point? Manisha Mataji, yes Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I remember one thing where Shri Prabhupada mentions the relation. It's the desire because of which we are entangled in this material nature, and then Prabhu and Krishna gives us. It's like being on the material and this material world. It's like a second chance given by Krishna for us to revisit and then return back to the spiritual world. So it's a second chance given by that. And in that purport, he explains the relationship between the living entity and the material nature, and how the living entity and the material nature both are eternal. So he expands that, and he explains further with the conclusion that this is why it's a mystery of creation, that we have been given a second chance to return back to the spiritual world, and we have to make the most of it. And then it goes into the 13.25 and 24, where it further explains of how we can use the Sankhya Yoga or the
Different
Karuna,
paths
different paths to
to realize the super soul.
understand.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you, Manisha Mataji. Devotee would like to try on the mysteries of material creation. I guess most points are covered. One point is both are energies of the Lord, both are eternal, even the material nature is eternal. But we discussed how there are transformations. The creations of the material nature are always changing, namely the body. And we saw 6 transformation, whereas the soul is unchanging. Soul is not. So we have similarities as well as differences between these two energies of Lord Krishna. Then the relationship between Prakruti and Jiva, Prabhu did mention, Ramesh Prabhu. We also discussed that Krishna also refers to Jiva soul as Purusha in this particular section 4. So what was the reason? Does anybody recollect? Who is the real Purusha and why is Jiva being referred to as Purusha in the section that we discussed? Rupali Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat. It is because of the mentality of the Jiva that he is the doer, that he is being referred to as Purusha, but actually only the Lord is Purusha.
Only the super soul, yes, Mataji. Thank you very much. Only Lord Krishna is the real enjoyer, and only in our conditioned state does a Jiva think that he or she is the enjoyer. And P.S. Murthy Prabhuji, you want to share any point? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. You can speak whenever you are ready. Then we also discussed about the kindness of Krishna as the super soul in accompanying the Jiva in all conditions and statuses of life. Anybody remembers the example we discussed, which was quite graphic? And Srila Prabhupada also stresses this point of Krishna not leaving the company of the Jiva soul in any condition of life.
Two birds on a tree. One bird, Atma, will be involved in many of the fruits, and second bird looks towards the bird.
Yes, Prabhuji. So second bird is, who is the second bird?
That's Paramatma, which is just a neutral observer.
Yes, Prabhuji. And the first bird is?
Atma.
Atma, who is trying to?
Who is trying to involve in this materialistic, contaminated by eating fruits and of the...
Trying to enjoy the fruits of the tree. Thank you very much, Subba Rao Prabhuji. And we had also discussed that how Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport, how much ever fallen we become in this material world, Krishna as our ever well-wisher never ever leaves the company of the Jiva soul. And we also discussed the graphic example by quoting His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj that even if one takes birth as a worm in a stool, still Paramatma as the super soul doesn't leave the company of the Jiva soul. And there is no other friend in the material world who can stay with us for in that fallen condition that Krishna does. So this was, and then we also discussed, like Subba Rao Prabhu just mentioned, the position of super soul as the overseer, as the Upadrishta. And along with Upadrishta, what was the other role we discussed for super soul? Anumanta meaning?
Sanctioning.
Sanctioner, or one who gives the approval, sanctioning authority. Thank you very much, Priyadarshini Mataji, Subba Rao Prabhu. And then Krishna concludes the last verse, text 26 in the last section, with the importance of hearing from authorities. So this point has been stressed at many places across Bhagavad Gita. So here again in this particular section, Krishna does mention the importance of hearing from authority. So now we proceed to today's section, which is the last part of chapter number 13, which is slightly technical compared to the other chapters, but it is still nevertheless very important. And we will also see in this particular section how Krishna himself gives few analogies to explain on the point. So the introduction and link of this section with respect to the previous section. So far Arjuna asked Krishna in the beginning of this chapter 6 questions, and easy way to remember these questions is K, K, J, J, and P, P. The knowledge about Kshetra, Kshetragya, Jnana, and Jneya, Purusha, and Prakruti. So Kshetra is the field of activities, our body. Kshetragya is the knower of the activities, which is the Jiva and the super soul. Jnana is the 20 different elements of knowledge that we saw, the qualities starting with humility and knowledge of the absolute truth, and all the 20 elements of the knowledge what Lord Krishna explains from text 8 to 12. We also discussed about the Jnana, object of the knowledge, namely the soul, the super soul. These are the objects of the knowledge. Purusha, like specifically the super soul, who is the true enjoyer, as well as Jiva, mentioned as Purusha, and Prakruti, the material nature. What is the relationship of the soul, super soul with the material nature? How is overall creation has come about by the combination of these, the spirit and the material nature. So now in the last section of this particular chapter, text 27 till 35, Lord Krishna will integrate and expand on all these 6 topics and will explain the vision of such a person who has got this Jnana Chakshu, who has understood these 6 topics in proper perspective. How does such a person perceive the material world? And practical application of this section, one who can see the super soul, living entities, and the material nature in proper perspective, how such a person sees this world through the eyes of knowledge. So now we proceed with the first verse of this section, text 13:27. Yavat sanjayate kinchit satvam sthavara jangamam kshetra kshetragya samyoga tadvidhi bharatarshava. O chief of Bharatas, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and the non-moving, is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. So Krishna is explaining that both the sthavara, which means the non-moving, and jangama, which means the moving, in this material creation, how it has come about by the combination of the living entities and the matter, the material nature, the field of activities. And the Lord, being the controller of the both, is the real source of both the Jiva as well as the Prakruti, and he puts both of them together with one another in motion. And how in that motion, both the Prakruti as well as the living entities, how they get entangled, specifically the living entity. So one point on this particular topic is, we had also seen, and to give a clue, in Unit 2 of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna explaining these 2 energies of his, and how everything in this material world has come about by the combination of these 2 energies of his. And you can raise your hand, don't answer directly, if you want to answer this particular question. Where else in Bhagavad Gita Lord Krishna gives this particular knowledge of spirit and matter being his 2 energies, and everything in this material world coming about as a combination of these 2? Devotees can raise their hand. Just a minute. Yes. So any volunteers on this? Sujata Mataji, Hare Krishna. Please unmute yourself. Oops. Sorry. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. In chapter 7, he mentions about the Mahatattva. He brings out that material world and so material energy. I mean, para energy and apara energy.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Sujata Mataji. Divya Rukmini Mataji, you want to explain on this? how does Krishna...
Hare Krishna Prabhu. It's a Bhumi Rapo Nalo Vayu Kamano Butirevacha Hankara Vitiyame Bina Prakruti Rashtada Apareyam Tastonya Apareyam Tastonya. These all the Apareya energy and Apareyam Tastonya Jiva Buddha Sanatana.
So you can explain Mataji in plain English.
This it's Bhumi Rapo Nalo Vayu Kam Mano Buddhi Bhumi. That means earth, ether, water, air, and
earth, water, fire,
air. That and mind, intelligence, and false ego. These are the inferior energy, and above that, for all the Jivatma, that is it's the superior energy of Krishna.
Right. And how is Krishna's position explained with respect to these two?
I don't know.
Okay, I don't know. That's fine. We also had one question in this regard in the recent evaluation. The
Para Prakruti and Apara Prakruti, Prabhuji.
Yes, Vani Mataji. Thank you very much. The superior and the inferior energy. Shama Gopika Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Actually, Krishna has mentioned that both are his energies, so he is superior to both of them. So in the shlok, in the 7.7 we have this, right? Matta Parataram Nanyat Kinchidasti Dhananjaya. So he is like there is no truth superior to Krishna, and everything rests upon him. So
thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much. Pramod Prabhu, you had also put a chat. You want to explain, Pramod Prabhu? Hare Krishna. All right. So we proceed. So here Lord Krishna is again explaining how the combination of these two, the Kshetra, which is the body, and Kshetragya, the soul, all creations in this material cosmic manifestation emanate as the combination of these two. Hare Krishna. Okay, fine, Pramod Prabhuji. That's fine. Namanishta Prabhuji, you want to share anything on this?
This requires a lot of realizations to break Kshetra and Kshetragna. And this chapter, therefore, is very important because a lot of contemplation. There's a jnana to understand. So we are so hopelessly entangled, particularly with the subtle body. It is very difficult to differentiate. So we are hearing theoretically, eternally. We have been entangled, time immemorial. Prakriti and the Jiva has been because in this verse the word was used as some yogat in 27, correct? Some yogat, which is that how they have been combination of Prakriti and Purusha has occurred. And it requires a lot of wisdom to be able to separate and look at the world in reality through the eyes of Krishna, through the Shastra, and come out of the illusion. And we are so hopelessly entangled. Therefore, it said, eternally conditioned soul is like Baddha Jiva. It's like totally tightly entangled with this. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Namanishta Prabhuji. So we proceed. Text 28. So basically, in this coming verses, text 28, 29, now we saw how a true seer understands the Jiva and the Prakriti and everything coming as a combination of these two. What is the vision of such a seer about Paramatma is explained in the next verse, text 28. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinashastva avinashantam yah pashyati sapashyati. One who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and who understands that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees. So here various characteristics of the super soul as understood by a true seer, of a person who truly understands, are given. First is that he sees the super soul as being equally disposed. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu, is equally disposed towards all living entities. Tishthantam Parameshwaram, he is residing in the heart of all living entities as the supreme controller. Vinashastva Avinashantam, and although both the soul and the super soul, they are indestructible, and although they are residing in the body which is destructible, they both remain shashvat, they both are eternal. Ya pashatin sa pashati, and one who sees soul and super soul in these perspectives actually sees things as they are, as in the right perspective. So, Naminishta Prabhu, you want to add anything on this?
Now, this is, that's why the reason is that the devotee comes on the platform of equanimity. He is not that he's meeting somebody black, so he will not give him mercy. He sees somebody fair with green eyes, he will give mercy. For him, the material differentiation, because Krishna is not seeing that, he does not see that. Okay, and that's the love of Krishna residing in everybody's heart. So that Vidya Vinaya Shloka that develops within his heart. And indestructible, Vinashasva. Okay. And when we can see this, actually see. So again, we difference about Prakriti, Purusha and matched was difficult to see, and this is also difficult. Therefore, sometimes I remember the devotees develop some difficulties in relating to other people. I see sometimes they forget that they came for something else. In a spiritual world, there is no disharmony, but unfortunately, in the material world, when a disharmony happens, and when I counsel them, first thing I said that you have forgotten for what you came to ISKCON for. You came to ISKCON to see this. Are we able to feel the presence of Paramatma and all these characteristics of Paramatma? Are we able to meditate on that? We have come for all this realization, and these are all realizations we need to build our sadhana to and come get mercy of Krishna and able to perceive this better and better. Yes, Prabhuji, continue.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. So we move to the next text. So now Krishna is explaining what is the result of having such a matured vision of looking at soul, super soul, and the Prakruti. Text 29. Samam spashyan hi sarvatra samavasthitam ishwaram nahi nasti atmanatmanam tato yati param gati. One who sees the super soul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus he approaches the transcendental destination. So one who is able to see in proper knowledge all the living entities on the platform of the soul and super soul being present in all the living entities, the bodies, one does not degrade himself by pursuing the selfish desires in the mind that this person is closer to me, this person is dear to me, and this person is my enemy. One sees with the transcendental vision and thus approaches transcendental destination. Srila Prabhupada writes in this regard in the purport, the living entity, by accepting his material existence, has become situated differently than his spiritual existence. But if one understands that the Supreme is situated in his Paramatma manifestation everywhere, that is, if one can see the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in every living entity, he does not degrade himself by a destructive mentality, and he therefore gradually advances to the spiritual world. The mind is generally addicted to sense gratifying processes, but when the mind turns to the super soul, one becomes advanced in spiritual understanding. So one doesn't degrade, but one elevates oneself to the transcendental destination by seeing all the living entities on the platform of Jiva and Lord's presence in them. Yes, Prabhu.
No degradation as a more main focus there. See, I remember when you're small children and the parents used to go out for, father goes to office, mother goes to shopping. And moment that happens, we are two young brothers, We'll be running around now, open the TV. We had only Doordarshan 1 that time. Terrible it was, but still we'll go. And some sense gratification of those days. The dome, that circle will come and we'll be sitting. So that's a tendency when the parents are not there and you can do something. So actually it is true that devotee should be, as even an application should never be alone. Always the devotee, never stay alone. And then another application is that here, understanding that if you have this realization, the first level, gross level, don't stay alone. Because the tendency being alone, then Maya attacks. So always be together with devotees. And second thing is that understanding the fact that Krishna is watching you, just like a father, mother at home, they may not say anything, but they just by their presence, we are scared to do anything nasty. They'll catch us on the neck. True? They may not say. Their presence itself protects us from unwanted activities. So similarly, if you have a vision that we are all, that's the purpose in the purport, we are so much focused on our own self. Mind is generally addicted to self-centered processes, correct? All of you should have Gita in front of you when we are discussing this and other things what are possible. So mind is when addicted to self-centered processes. What happens then? The mind, it is that's what we are. And being selfish like that, then the Maya makes an ass out of it, because Maya only catches a criminal. You are a servant of Krishna, you should focus on Krishna. But you're only self-focused, all the time thinking about how am I looking, how am I speaking, how is world appreciating me, isn't it? Anywhere we go, first thing you evaluate is how am I being honored, is he neglecting me? Just too focused on our own self. So if that is there, that Maya will Maya will kick you nicely. But turn your mind towards the super soul. Then you become proper advanced spiritual understanding, and you will never do any sin. You know Krishna is watching. Prabhupada says you cannot hide anything from Krishna. In fact, Prabhupada says this is also the perfection of thinking, feeling, and willing. That all around you, everything, every atom, in your heart, everywhere Krishna is there. And then how will you that make your mind so purified? Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Text 30. Here, Lord Krishna explains such a true seer's vision about Jiva and Prakruti. Prakrutyaiva cha karmani kriyamanani sarvashah yah pashyati tathatmanam akartaram sapashyati. One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees. So such a true seer who sees things in true perspective, he sees that whatever activities are being done, Prakrutyaiva cha karmani, that all these activities are being done by the material nature. Prakruti is the real doer. Kriyamanani sarvashaha, all the material activities are performed by the body, which is created of Prakruti. Yah pashyati tathatmanam akartaram. Akartaram means non-doer. Akartaram sapashyati. He sees that the self, the soul is not the doer, but the body is the doer. And one who sees like this is the true seer. He actually sees. So there is similar also discussion coming in Bhagavad Gita. Actually not coming, but it has come in Bhagavad Gita by Lord Krishna. Where else, which other portion of Bhagavad Gita does Krishna mention that one who thinks that one is doing the things is actually in illusion, and the activities are being performed in reality by the Prakruti. Any recollection of the section? Surekha Mataji, Hare Krishna.
प्रकृते क्रियमाणानि गुणै कर्माणि सर्वशः अहंकार विमूढात्मा कर्ता हम इति मन्यते.
Thank you very much, Mataji. You want to explain us the meaning in plain English?
Like the ahankar vimudhatma, the jivatma with false ego, he considers that I am doing it, but actually it is the work is done, or the activity is done by Prakriti itself.
Prakriti. Thank you very much, Surekha Mataji, for this reference. Hare Krishna. So we proceed.
But then somebody will say, because I am not doing anything, so I am not responsible for anything.
Yes.
I'm not doing anything. God is doing everything. He does sin, he does good. We have that question? No.
We don't, but Prabhuji, yes, it's a valid question. And in fact, this also answer we have learned in one particular section. So if devotees can help raise their hand. Shama Gopika Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, although like Prakriti is assisting us in doing the things, we have a limited free will, which we can use, we can exercise.
Yes, yes, Mataji. And any particular section you recollect, of course, not the verse, but where we had discussed this, that the soul is responsible. We had a schematic diagram. But what you mentioned is correct, Shama Gopika Mataji. Thank you very much. Anita Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, yes, in the chapter 5, Nakartitva na karmani lokasya srijati Prabhu nakam phal samyogam sabhavastu pravartate. So there also they talk about the Prakriti, they are not the doership, in my understanding.
Thank you very much. And Prabhuji's question was that one may say that if I am not the doer, then I can do anything I want. How one is still responsible? So how do we answer? Manas Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Pranam. Actually, Prakriti, God is giving all the infrastructure, but ultimately we are desiring to do something, and on that, all the infrastructure are given by God. On that contrary, God is doing, but all the wrong thing, whatever, we only desire. That's why we suffer.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. And in the schematic, we had mentioned how we as the soul, we desire Krishna as super soul, he sanctions, but soul is responsible due to his desiring a particular thing. Krishna only facilitates the fulfillment of the desire. Sujata Mataji, you want to add anything on this? You're on mute. Yeah.
Soul is the initiator in this because of his desire. He desires, so that's how he initiates the whole thing.
Yes, okay. Mataji. Perfect. Thank you very much. Namanishta Prabhuji, you want to add anything on this to conclude?
Yeah, your discussion is over, I think. Good class discussion. Correct?
Yes.
I see that it naturally came. This question comes at the end. People are very, see, I don't know anything. I have to catch them. They're looking, searching in Gita that everything he is doing. Yes. Okay, you can have any more point. Yeah, chalo, continue. Everyone. Okay, good. Everybody have Gita in their table, please, when you are studying this. And your notes, the student handbook. Next time, get student handbook also printed. That also lying with you. And if you have this Gita Subodhini, that will be good. You can have this another book, which is, Surrender. There's so many notes. There Gauranga Priya all have all notes. Like a scholar, you should be having all the points. Take Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Then next text 31. Yada bhuta pratak bhavam ekastham anupashyati tata eva cha vistaram brahma sampadhyate tada. Translation. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception. So here Lord Krishna is explaining the status achieved by one who sees all the living entities on the platform of the soul. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada differentiates between the material vision and the spiritual vision. Material vision means to see all the living entities in different identities based on their bodies. Whereas the mature vision is, although we are individual souls, on the platform of the soul, we are all of the same spiritual nature and we are expanded as the part and parcel of Krishna everywhere. And the result of having such vision is one attains the platform of Brahman. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, in the material conception of life, We find someone a demigod, someone a human being, a dog, a cat, etc. This is material vision, not actual vision. This material differentiation is due to material conception of life. After the destruction of the material body, the spirit soul is one. The spirit soul, due to contact with the material nature, gets different types of bodies. And when one sees this, he attains spiritual vision. So the soul, although being on the platform, same as the other spirit, part and parcel of Krishna, because of we being come in touch with the material nature, and based on our different desires, we derive different types of bodies. Yes, Prabhuji.
So anyway, the difference between Jiva and Prakriti, okay? Pritak Bhavam, the word used here is Pritak Bhavam, the key word here. Okay? We see a different living entities because of different bodies they have. But actually that difference because of the material variety has no meaning. You know, somebody is beautiful, somebody is ugly, somebody is smart, it has no meaning. That can only, so unless until we are absorbed in material variety, we cannot be absorbed in spiritual variety. You have always seen that when the mind is calm from harassment of material varieties, material beauties, then you're able to pray to the Lord. Or conversely, when we are praying to the Lord and chanting nicely, the material variety doesn't bite us. Because the Pritak Bhavam, seeing them differently, it's all one. It's all just like, you know, you take some mud and you put some water. You can make so many things out of it. You can make a toy, you can make a matka, it's all one. What is it? But you see differently. You know, you see that as a pot of water, then you see something as a toy, you're seeing as diya. You know? The potter can make so many things. It looks different. At the end of the day, it's mud only. So similarly, we see somebody as a man, somebody as a woman, somebody as white, somebody as, you know, Asian, somebody as Chinese. We see people differently. Because that is Pratak Bhava we are having because of immaturity. But actually, it's just Panchadhatu, Bhumi, Apo, and Alavayu, just mixed in a different way, just like a potter, just mixed in different way. And oh, so beautiful, blue eyes, green eyes, craziness. Pratak Bhava. The more we are enamored by material variety, see, variety is mother of enjoyment. But the spiritual variety is what we should get enchanted. Therefore, we decorate the deities so beautifully so that it's spiritual variety, even though it looks material, it's spiritual. And we chant the holy name, you know, it's spiritual variety. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, one question, Prabhuji, Murli here.
Yes.
Prabhuji, Prabhuji, you mentioned the potter and the pot. And can we say that the way is similar for all of us is the clay itself, and different varieties of pots are made from the clay. So what is common to everything is the clay, and then in this way we can say that clay is something similar to Purusha. Can we take that understanding?
Clay is what? The clay is the Panchadhatu.
Clay is similar to what is Purusha because, yes. So I mean, what I mean to say is, what is common for let us say a pot, a small pot, a big pot, a medium-sized pot, and then if you make something else, it's all made of clay. Correct? Yeah.
But you know, to see, now I'm only taking till that one. Now to see this word as that, it requires tremendous spiritual advancement. Isn't it? You see everybody just a combination of Panchadhatu. Tremendous. Oh, what is there? Carbon. Or you see now modern science. It's nothing but carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen. It's not easy to do that. We become affected. Now in front of you come misword, you get affected, and you come some ugly person, you become disgusted. We do get material variety is biting us, but when we advance spiritually, we'll come to a platform that this material variety will not see Pratak Bhava. But it requires tremendous realizations, isn't it? We are able to speak, but to achieve this platform should be the goal of life.
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Namanishta Prabhuji. So we proceed. Yeah. So next three texts, that is text 32 till 35, Lord Krishna explains how the soul is the non-doer and how he is not entangled. Hare Krishna. Okay. Yeah, so Rajiv Prabhu is asking, what is the difference between spirit and soul? Many a times it is used as synonym. So yes, Prabhuji, both are same as the part and parcel of Krishna. So we do use these terms interchangeably. So spirit and soul. Oops.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, one question on this point.
Yeah.
Spirit is the qualitative aspect, can we say, and the soul as a quantitative one. Basically meaning that one is a verb and another is a noun. Soul is the noun while the spirit is the verb. Can we say something like that? On the level of the Gnana, I'm asking you, Prabhuji.
Namanishta Prabhuji, you want to?
We say together, spirit, soul. Okay, chapter close. Say together, that's better. If any confusion, say spirit. Right. Okay, chalo, let us continue. We'll keep it.
Kshetragna and Kshetra, that becomes Prabhuji.
Chalo, we continue. We keep it noted, Prabhuji. Pran Prabhuji noted.
Yes.
The difference between our spirit and soul are used in a different sense. See, we have our now instructor, Krishna Prabhu. So we are lucky to have an instructor of this course. Anything which we can, some things we can keep and dredge along. Okay, continue, Prabhuji. Pranchita, unmute yourself.
Okay. Text 32. Anaditva nirgunatva paramatmayam avyayah sharirasthopi kaunteya na karoti na lipyate. Those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, O Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled. So here Lord Krishna is discussing the soul as eternal and changeless. Nevertheless, because of being in the material body, Hare Krishna. A devotee, if you want to speak, speak anything, you can raise your hand.
No, so we can. The little somebody's carelessness. Okay, continue.
And such a soul, which is eternal and changeless, when it comes in contact with the matter, does it get contaminated by the qualities? And to explain this particular query, Lord Krishna gives two analogies, and these analogies are given in the subsequent verses. So first analogy he gives is that of a sky, which is all pervading, which is given in text 33. Yatha sarvagatam saukshmya akasham no palipyate sarvatra vasthito dehe tathatma no palipyate. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all pervading. Similarly, the soul, situated in Brahman vision, does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. So first analogy, Krishna is saying, just like the sky, although it is all pervading, it stays aloof because of its subtle nature, it doesn't mix. Similarly, the soul, although residing within the body, which is matter, it retains its individual nature and it doesn't mix with anything. And second analogy, Krishna gives that of the sun. So he mentions in text 34, Yatha prakashayati eka kritsnam lokam imam ravihi kshetram kshetri tatha kritsnam prakashayati bharata O son of Bharata, O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. So here, Lord,
yeah, unmute yourself, Prabhu. I have locked it.
Okay. Here, Lord Krishna gives the analogy of the sun illuminating the entire universe through the sunshine. Similarly, the soul residing within the body illuminates or permeates the entire body through consciousness, which is the symptom of the soul. So, through these two examples, Lord Krishna is explaining how, in truth, as far as the qualities are concerned, the soul still remains aloof, even though it is entangled within matter, by explaining this example of sky remaining aloof from all the creation under it, and sun illuminating the entire creation through its illumination. Yes, Prabhu.
You see, soul is so small, actually. It's so much powerful, even though it is so small. 10,000 part, the tip of the hair, that's all. And it illuminates the whole body. It's more powerful than the sun planet because even sun cannot burn it. It's not, isn't it amazing? You know, Asharya, there is a shloka in the second chapter, Asharya. It's so amazing, the soul. You know, in the body, it cannot dissolve in the blood, you know, if dried by the air and not burned by the heat of the body. Nothing can be done to it. So when you come to know Brahma Bhuta, Prasanna, you become very peaceful, very happy that you are that. All our education is only talking about the body, but nothing is talking about you, that. And Bhagavad Gita teaches us. And the Bhagavad Gita, the very consciousness, you know, what is the origin of consciousness? If you study it, you'll break your head on the stone. So what words can you? They themselves are saying it has gone crazy. They're trying to have a mechanistic explanation of consciousness. And if you study the books, what they're doing, I studied 3 courses on psychology in my college. So crazy. So crazy. And then they practice it, and then they destroy people's life. You go to a psychiatrist. Take care. So entire body by consciousness, the sun alone illuminates the whole universe. So this is such a revelation for us. Okay, we don't see this, but it's Krishna's information in Krishna. So we're getting a great knowledge. The beginning of knowledge is to see soul different from the body and how the soul functions. Now this is given here. It illuminates the whole body, just like sun illuminates the whole world. So nice. And the soul is left, and then the body is over. It's all over. And doesn't mix with matter. There's so much matter all around bones, and our soul doesn't get affected by that. So it's totally anti-material. Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much. And this particular part of Bhagavad Gita, the analogies, has been stressed a lot in even students' handbook. So even those of us who attended, you need to see a lot of analogies are there in the closed book section. So we should study these properly and recollect and quote when appropriate. Yes, Santosh Bro, please unmute yourself. Santosh Bro, you had raised your hand.
You'll have to unmute, Prabhuji, because I have locked.
Okay, fine. 1 second. Yes, Prabhuji, please unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Dandatnam.
Prabhu,
I just wanted to have a little bit more clarity on this little bit contradicting viewpoint. Now we have learned that we have not this body, we have not this mind, we are spirit soul. And because of the free will, I chose to satisfy my own desires and got entangled in this material body. So that is one side. The other side, the soul is non-doer and is not entangled. So in this, who is choosing that free will and getting entangled with the material body? So that is soul or me. I am a little bit confusing.
See, non-doer means the soul cannot move the body. Soul cannot move the body. The Paramatma moves the body. Soul only desires. So your doership is what you are defining as doership. Doership means, I take a stick and hit you. In that sense, it's not the doer because he cannot lift the hand itself. Paramatma does everything, but it's you who are desiring. I want ice cream shop. I want ice cream shop. Father takes an ice cream shop. You brought me here. Who was the fellow who made a mess out of the whole thing? Just like they say, God sent me to this world. Prabhu said, he didn't send you. You forced him to send. Okay? So we have to accept the responsibility of our unwanted desiring for sense enjoyment. The rest of Prakriti throws around the instruments for that enjoyment on the direction of the Lord. Okay? So doership, we are not doer in the sense that material energy is not our servant. She is Bhudevi's Bara servant, not your servant. So you cannot touch material energy. You cannot touch. You misuse, just like you have a mobile at your home. You misuse, you take away the mobile from the child. So presently we are misusing the facilities, and we are responsible for it. Just like I'm on the mobile. Now I can only touch anything, correct? That aspect is not taught. The whole processing is being taught. I make a call. Okay, I make a call, I button, but I'm not the doer in the sense that you understanding? The mobile is a doer. It connects to the antenna and all, and then you hear call and you're talking. You understood? When we say we are not the doer, it is referring to, otherwise there can be no karma if we are not the doer. If there is no free will, then there is no karma. Okay. So the free will and the karma, everything is responsibility of the soul. He has to accept responsibility. But when he has a particular desire, say I want to kill somebody and I want to kill somebody, I do now the instruments for that plan, for the intelligence, for that, everything Krishna will give you. But you cannot say that you're not responsible because you are the one who desired. Prabhupada said, you want to go back to God, Krishna facilitate that. You want to go to Naraka, he facilitated that. Now you have to decide what you want to do. Okay, Prabhuji?
Thank you, Santosh Namanishta Prabhuji. So then we come to the concluding verse of chapter 13, where Lord Krishna gives the Phalashruti. He gives the essence of the answers to all the queries what Arjuna had. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada also gives the comment, the summary of the whole chapter. So I'll read the text first. Kshetra kshetragyayor evam antaram jnana chakshusha bhuta prakruti moksham cha ye vidur yanti te param. Those who see with the eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature, attain to the supreme goal. So here Krishna is explaining those who understand all these queries by Arjuna, who is the Kshetra, Kshetragya, Purusha, Prakruti, and what is the in between? Jnana and Jnaya. One who understands all these six in perspective, he becomes free from the bondage and he attains the supreme goal. So in this regard, Srila Prabhupada gives a summary in the purport. He writes in the purport, the purport of this 13th chapter is that one should know the distinction between the body, the owner of the body, the super soul, and the super soul. One should recognize the process of liberation as described in the text 8 till text 12, the 20 elements of knowledge that Krishna talks about. Then one can go to the supreme destination. And then later on, Srila Prabhupada continues in the purport. This material world is working by the conjunction of the soul and the 24 material elements, the material nature. One who can see the constitution of the whole material manifestation as this combination of the soul and the material elements can also see the situation of the supreme soul, and can also see the situation of the supreme soul becomes eligible for transfer to the spiritual world. These things are meant for contemplation and for self-realization. One should have a complete understanding of this chapter with the help of the spiritual master. So this is a bit technical chapter, nonetheless very, very important. And
these things are meant for contemplation. Originally very interesting when we had we announced on the 12th chapter that you give a donation. There is a reason for that. Because many teachers, when he started this course in the beginning, felt that after their presentation of 13th chapter, nobody will give anything. It was difficult for them to put it together. And it took some time for them to understand all the chapter is Kshetra and Kshetragna. That's all the chapter. Kshetra, Kshetragna, Kshetra, Kshetragna. That's the main essence of the chapter. Then they could get hold. In the beginning, it's like so many concepts scattered around. We were not able to put in one theme. So people are saying we will not get any money after 13th chapter of presentation. Therefore, 12th chapter we made. So it's one of the, I think, one of the chapters is too much understanding and a lot of things to learn in this chapter. Yes, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. There are few questions and we will take those before we go to the group exercise. Shama Gopika Mataji, just hold on 1 second. Yes, Mataji, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I have one question here because here we see that there is a lot of emphasis in chapter 13 on Kshetra and Kshetrajna. It is nothing but, the field of activities means body, and Kshetrajna is the actually soul. So can we say that this is also Sankhya Yoga, because there are a lot of similarities to chapter 2 in this?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Mataji. Yes,
okay.
I got your question. I'm asking Namanishta, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you want to answer?
What is the plan now? So they will sit and make the assignment. What is an assignment?
Yes, before that, Shama Gopika Mataji had a question, Prabhuji.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Namanishta, Prabhuji. Actually, in this chapter 13, there is a lot of emphasis on Kshetra and Kshetrajna, which is nothing but, the field of activities, which is body and soul. So can we also state that this is like related to Sankhya Yoga? It is similar to chapter 2, right? I mean.
Yes, the chapter 2, it was, there was one argument given, the body, and so then after that, they were not focused so much on Kshetrajna. There was a continuous focus on the nature of the soul. There was focus on the nature of the soul, but here there is more focus on Kshetra and Kshetrajna.
Okay.
It was, you see the whole chapter second, that immediately Krishna uses one argument, then immediately goes to the, most of the shlokas go to the nature of the soul. Nayanam Chindan Disasani, Pasam Sachinani. Here there was a whole chapter discussion, Kshetra, Kshetrajna, and even bringing the Lord as a super Kshetrajna. That didn't happen there, correct? A good analysis, and it helps us to understand our situation, how we have to achieve bhakti, but where we are stuck, Kshetra, Kshetrajna. It's a very big realization. If you can have it, the body and the knower is different. It's a big realization. Prabhupada says the most beautiful argument of the shloka one. I am mad, I am happy. I know I am not the body. And I was just thinking about this. What is happy and mad, the atom or electron? so how can an atom electron be happy or sad? I'm getting bored today, isn't it?
So is this, can we call this as Sankhya Yoga or Jnana Yoga, Prabhuji?
No, these last 6 chapters, see why you are after etymology.
Okay.
Sankhya Yoga is not up to 2. Sankhya Yoga is 24 elements.
Okay.
But it's still in the second chapter, you have Sankhya because 1 and 2 is there, body and the soul. But here, there was the division given in the between. After a Kshetra was divided into 24 elements. See, names are not important. What are you going to achieve by names? The name given by this Kshetra, Kshetrajna was the main name given, correct?
Okay.
Name Sankhya Yoga is also given for 6 chapters because Ashtanga Yoga mainly practiced by Sankhya Yogis. Okay. For second chapter also they give the name Sankhya Yoga.
Yes, and as Ankit also mentioned on the chat that earlier this chapter in text number 6, Krishna explains thus 24 elements of material nature have been explained in detail as well. So one assignment for this, I'll cover the second point first. We see in Srila Prabhupada's talks, in his presentations, he always presents even the complex of the topics in the most simplest terms so that a layman can understand. So if we were to present what we learned in chapter number 13 in a plain pictorial form, through these various concepts that were clarified by Krishna upon queries asked by Arjun, how would we explain in a pictorial form? So as part of the TTC assignment, we had tried this. So if devotees are able, and here the importance is not how good is our pictorial skill, our drawing skills, but how well are we able to explain using the pictorial representation, if we were to explain the concept that we learned in this chapter.
So you're talking about group, you're forming groups, or it's an individual?
Actually, picture, because we are online. If we were sitting in physical setup, Prabhuji, we can do group. So maybe we can have 2 or 3 devotees present the understanding in pictorial. Of course, all should participate, but we can have few devotees present or through the screen share on the pictorial form, what we understood from this chapter. And the next one is the theory one, which we can write at home as the assignment. Present the summary of this particular chapter, identifying the main concepts, sections of the verses, and how do they connect. So for the second one, if we can have this exercise now, take a plain sheet of paper and draw the concept that you have understood in this particular chapter and the connection between them, what all of them represent in a pictorial form. So Prabhuji, maybe we can give 5 minutes for preparation, and then
they will do now. They will do now.
Yes, Prabhuji. Pictorial presentation they can do now. It doesn't take much long, but the writing part, the first point, they can do as the home assignment. We can share that as the.
They will do individually, or you want to make breakout rooms?
They can do. So Namita Mataji, you want to ask something? Please unmute yourself.
Prabhuji, is this in a slide or in a paper?
Yeah, actually drawing it on a slide will be quite complex, Mataji. You can draw on a plain sheet of paper. And how do you present? I don't know.
You mentioned in slide, Prabhuji. One group can present in
yes,
slide.
so first one. Yeah, so first one will need some more time to present the slides and the content. Are we able to do that quickly? Okay, so let's keep it very simple. We can have it now. But the first one, let's do individually. Draw a picture, and you, if possible, you can be able to share it on your screen. So you can do a screenshot to explain. For the second one, we will have a group breakdown method. Okay? Okay. First, do the second point.
Okay.
So we will take 5 minutes. So it is 1:50, which means 11:20. India time, so we can take 5 minutes and then we can again regroup. Okay, Hare Krishna. So this is a very, very important part of understanding and explaining, to be able to explain in pictorial form. Hare Krishna. Any devotee want to lead any kirtan during the break while other devotees are working on this? Just one volunteer, if we have. Oops. Namita Mataji, you want to chant or sing?
I want to sing Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna.
Okay, okay, Mataji. And we do request devotees to please use this time, prepare, okay, while hearing to Mataji's bhajan. Let me just open the kirtan. 1 second.
Shall I start, Prabhuji?
Yes, yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavana Shri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohana Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavana Shri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohana Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana कालिंदी जमुना जय जय महावन जय राधे जय कृष्णा जय वृंदावन श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन केशी घाट बंशी बट द्वादश कानन जहाँ सब लीला कोइलो श्री नंद नंदना केशी घाट बंशी बट द्वादश कानन जहाँ सब लीला कोइलो श्री नंद नंद जय राधे जय कृष्णा जय वृंदावन श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन श्री नंद यशोदा जय जय गोपगण श्री दामादि जय जय धेनुवत्सगण जय राधे जय कृष्णा जय वृंदावन श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन जय वृषभानु जय कीर्तिदा सुंदरी जय पौर्णमासी जय आभिर नगरी जय राधे जय कृष्णा जय वृंदावन श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन जय जय गोपीश्वर वृंदावन जय जय कृष्ण सखा बटु द्विजराज जय राधे जय कृष्ण जय वृंदावन श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन जय राम घाट जय रोहिणी नंदन जय जय वृंदावन बासी जत जन जय राधे जय कृष्ण जय वृंदावन श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन जय द्विज पत्नी जय नाग कन्यागण भक्ति तेज हारा पाइलो गोविंद चरण जय राधे जय कृष्ण जय वृंदावन श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन श्री रास मंडल जय जय राधा श्याम जय जय रास लीला सर्व मनोरमा जय राधे जय कृष्ण जय वृंदावन श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन जय जयोज्ज्वला रस सर्वरस सार परकीया भावे जहाँ ब्रजेते प्रचार जय राधे जय कृष्ण जय वृंदावन श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ Madana Mohana Shri Janavapada Padma Gauriya Smarana Dina Krishna Dasa Kohe Nama Sankirtana Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavana Shri Govind Gopinath Madana Mohana Shri Govind Gopinath Madana Mohana Shri Govind Gopinath Madana Mohana. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Just thinking, was the time too less to prepare anything on, to draw anything on paper? Any devotees are ready? Any devotees would like to raise their hands? Whoever is ready. Manisha Mataji, thank you so much, Mataji. We have few devotees who would like to present. Hare Krishna. You can just show the sheet, Mataji. So no need to send all the way to yourself.
But because I studied this chapter last week, so let me try. Yeah.
Yes.
I also tried to study from Mani Mandala. He actually has a habit of putting it in pictorial format. So whatever I could recall, what he said. So it's like this, Prabhu. So the chapters are divided into sections. So the Adhyay 13 is divided into so many sections. The first section is basically 1 to 7, which is about Krishna trying to answer the third, fourth, and fifth question of Arjuna. And it talks about the Kshetra and Kshetrajna. Then the second part where it actually tried to put the bullet points here, that what does chapter 1 to 7 mean. I think
you have to explain, considering the audience to be a total layman.
Okay. So the chapter is actually divided into like high level 5 sections. So first section is 1 to 7. Then the second section, let me recall that because second section is like 8 to 12. All right. Then the third section is 9 to 13 to 19, and then 20 to 26, and then 27 to 35. Now, the way Krishna explains this, the first section is answering 1 to 7 shlokas is answering third, fourth, and fifth question. Then the second, third, and fourth questions. Then the second section, Krishna is trying to explain the process of knowledge, which is basically explaining Arjuna's fifth question. Then the sixth section, which is shloka 13 to 19, where he is explaining about Jnaya, which is the object of knowledge. Which is answering Arjuna's sixth question. And then the last two sections or last three sections basically again goes back, but it's not answering direct questions of Arjuna, but more into going back into explaining the Prakruti, Purusha, and the relation and
relationship between them.
And then the last two parts, which is the 27 to last part, which is the Jnana, which is the 27 to 35 shloka. Here he is talking about Jnana Chakshus, and then also the relationship with the knowledge, and then he summarizes. So these are the 5 sections to go back. Then in each section, what he's not only just explaining or answering Arjuna's questions, but he's laying down, first is the definitions. If I the way I'm understanding, the first few sections is explaining what are the what are the components. Basically, there is a body, which is a field of activities. There is a soul, that is who is a knower. of the activities or of the knowledge, and then the super soul. Then in there is a very huge description by Srila Prabhupada about you said about the PPU, Ksha, Kshaja, so like Prakriti, Purusha, Kshetra, Jnana, Jnana, Jnana. And there it also talks about the transformations. It also talks about how what part components are eternal, what components are expansion of the super soul, and also talks about the field of activities and what components affect the field of activities, what like hatred and all of that. Second part, I like it a lot. That's why I remember second part, which is shloka 8 to 12. It talks about the qualities of the process of knowledge, and it talks about the number one quality I remember is humility. So it talks about that. It also then also talks about how to acquire that knowledge in that section. So it goes into the details of that. I'm not very good at shlokas, Prabhu, so I can't quote the shlokas.
Yeah, you just need to give a very, very high overview. Yes, Mataji.
Then the 13 to 19, which is the third section, I tried to explain here. Here it is, what I remember most is and liked is that it goes back and connects back to chapter 2, where Krishna says that we are not body but we are soul, and our soul transmigrates, and that's where Krishna is the best friend, where whatever the body goes to and under whatever circumstances, the super soul doesn't leave the side of us. So it goes into that explanation of the relation of that. And then the last two sections, which is 20 to 26. 20 to 26 is about entanglement. How the jiva is entangled through the material nature, and it also talks about the nature's qualities as well, and how jiva gets stuck into it. And Srila Prabhupada also further explains the mystery of creation, which is basically why we have been sent here, and how we have been given a second chance. So it is a more of explanation on that, and again connects the dots there. And the last part I cannot really nail down with a point, but it's more about just Jana Chakshus. That's all I remember. I don't know.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Manisha Mataji, for explaining so much in detail. Yeah, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Do we have drawing or any other devotee want to present what they have drawn? Even if you just show the figures, the diagram, that this is what this person or this entity stands for, and how is it related to the other entity that I have drawn in simplest plain English. Can I show? Yes, Murli Prabhuji, please. So you can, let me just ask you to unmute. Murli Prabhu, you can unmute and yeah, just keep the video on. You can show on the screen and then explain. Hare Krishna. Murli Prabhu, please unmute yourself. Yeah.
Yes. Prabhuji, see my drawing?
Yes, just bring it closer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Prabhuji, for explain.
Yes. Please explain it.
This is on the light. Okay. Why is it?
Yeah, maybe Prabhuji, you can put the video off if you feel it will be better. Yeah.
Like, the lights is all of in the form.
Murli Prabhu, your voice is breaking. So maybe you want to put the audio on and video off and then again explain. Hare Krishna. As cursor to explain, move the fingers as cursor to explain. Hare Krishna. While Murli Prabhu sorts out the network issue, do we have at Spotlight? Okay. Do we have any other devotee as well? Spotlight. Oh, okay. Okay. 1 second. Let me change the spotlight. Sorry, Murli Prabhu, we couldn't hear you properly. If you are able to again show and explain, I can put a spotlight on you so we can see the diagram bigger. Hare Krishna. Any other devotee? Let me just check the list. Do we have any other devotee who has drawn a pictorial representation of their understanding of chapter 13? If we need time, then I guess we just have this as well as the home assignment, and maybe share the photo with Reena Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Thank you very much. Let me just put the spotlight on Reena Mataji. 1 second. Please unmute yourself, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
So this is actually a very simple representation of this chapter. So this will be used for the kids actually, like this is what I will explain in the kids class.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know like whether I can.
If you are okay, Mataji, you just stop the background for a time being, so your notebook will be visible. Otherwise, it comes and goes.
Can you see, Prabhuji? Can it be seen, Prabhuji? Like what I have written here is actually like that is third chapter. That is heading has been written, nature, the enjoyer, and consciousness. So in that, like Arjuna asked about 6 elements. That is Kshetra, Kshetragna, Gnana, Gneya, and Purusha and Prakruti. So all these 6 elements has been explained. First Kshetra, which contains 24 elements, which has been explained with that Pancha Mahabhutas and Gnanendriyas, and the object of the Gnanendriyas and Karmendriyas and the Sukshma Sharira, elements of the Sukshma Sharira. So this constitute the Kshetra. So this is from the Prakruti, that is the inferior energy of the Lord. And the second point is the Kshetragna, that is knower of this Kshetra. There are 2 knowers, so soul and the super soul. So there are differences between soul and super soul. So soul is the knower of his own body, and whereas the super soul is the knower of all the bodies. And the soul is the soul, he thinks that he is the enjoyer, but super soul is the real enjoyer. And soul, he thinks that he does everything, whereas super soul function is the overseer and permitter of all the bodies. And the next is why we should know the differences between the Kshetra and Kshetragna and the 2 knowers of the body. This is because this is to know what is that will become the Gnana, and what is this Gneya. Gneya is the object of this knowledge. Why we should know this difference is to attain the super soul. So that is the goal of understanding this chapter. So we should attain the super soul. So if we have to attain the super soul, we have to have this knowledge. So this is the simplest understanding, like that I will explain to the kids, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Reena Mataji, for such detailed explanation and the drawing. So we'll just have one last devotee volunteer, Valar Mataji. Hare Krishna. Please unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I sent you in the WhatsApp the picture because I don't know how to paste.
Okay, let me see. I can open.
You just look at your WhatsApp. I tried to draw a simple diagram.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, also like for kids.
Valar Mataji. All right, so let me try and share.
Yeah.
Are you able to see?
It's coming, I think. Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone. Okay, so basically here, I have drawn, you can see the 6 aspects there, the Kshetra and the Kshetra, yeah, the Jnana, the Jnanam, the Purusha, right? Okay. and Prakruti. So basically, I'm trying to show the human picture there. That is the body, that is the Kshetra. And of course, residing in us is the super soul, the Kshetraya, who's like a television. It's actually watching us all the time. And he's the real knower, yeah. But then because we have desire, and due to our what you call our interaction with this Prakriti and the Purusha, the three modes, and then we end up being sad or happy or whatever emotion that it could be, and then we just dwell in the ocean of miseries. Okay, so there's no end to it. But if somebody who acquired the jnana, which is the process of the knowledge, and of course the knowledge itself, the jnanam, and then we can end up to going to God aboard. That's a simple explanation, Prabhuji. Yeah.
This is wonderful presentation, Valar Mataji. Thank you so much. An innovative way of sending it through WhatsApp, easier to present. So thank you very much. Okay. So maybe because of online, we have some challenges in this, but this is a very, very effective way of presentation. Even as part of the TTC course, the batch, all of us, we did practice doing this, explaining, and it's very easy and catchy for the participants to understand if we are able to explain. And there is one saying, let me stop sharing. There is one saying that one who is really expert in the matter can explain the most complex of the phenomena in the most simplest of the ways to the audience. So there is a famous pastime of Srila Prabhupada once, where he got just 3 minutes to explain the philosophy of Krishna consciousness on the radio. And Prabhupada was more than happy to present everything of Krishna consciousness in such a short time. So definitely it is possible. So thank you very much, Prabhuji's, Mataji's. And we will have the other part of the assignment. Let me just put it on the chat here. We will do it as an individual assignment and then upload it on the link, which will be shared by Janaki Mataji. What I am also planning to do as part of Unit 3, we will maintain a spreadsheet giving the assignment topic, the link, and the timeline. So it's easier to track, because in Unit 2, we had a lot of queries later on, and even Subhuti Prabhuji mentioned today that a lot of us, we sometimes have missed uploading the assignments. So this tracker will help us keep it up to date. Yes, thank you very much, Valar Mataji. You are getting kudos from many of our other devotee participants. Thank you very much. Let me just put it on the chat, the assignment, and then we will put it on the WhatsApp as well. Just hold on. So this is mentioned as a group assignment or presentation. Leave this aside. We just answer this as an individual assignment. Okay. So thank you very much. Let me see. Namanishta Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So Prabhuji, we did the second part of the assignment as the pictorial presentation. And the first one, we will do it at home and upload it, Prabhuji.
So pictorial, they are now sharing to you?
Yes, Prabhuji. Valar Mataji did share on the WhatsApp screen, and Reena Mataji, Manisha Mataji shared from their laptop camera itself.
Okay, good. Yes, Prabhuji.
So we can conclude here chapter 13. And one more thing, there is a suggestion from Janaki Mataji, and very good one. So we will try to complete the online, the open book assignments for all the chapters as we proceed through the chapters. And the test probably can have questions which test our understanding, but which need not be from the question bank. So this is a suggestion, and devotees can.
That's okay. That's because they have already done it.
Yeah. Yes.
All the thing. Okay.
So we will share the assignment questions for this chapter on the WhatsApp group and along with the link. Okay. Thank you very much.
5:30, Narasimha Jayanti festival. Everybody is welcome. Online join us. And Atul Krishna Prabhu is coming 29, 30, 31st, 1, 2, 3, 6 days. So those who want can write to me and we will select 20 people out of that. Okay? Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Happy Narasimha Chaturdashi, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Happy Narasimha Chaturdashi festival. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
But today they are fasting, so we gave them 12 minutes early exit. You know?
Yes, Prabhuji.